My name is Elliott Humphrey. I'm a snare tech at Rhythmic Force. This will be my 4th year as a snare tech, and I marched here for 5 years.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I joined RF in 2021 and played as a snare drummer for 21 and 22. After that, I joined staff in 24 and this year in 25. I first heard about RF from my friend Brian, who I went to high school here with actually, back in 21. And he was the dude that kind of convinced me that I should go audition here. And I was like, I don't know, kind of up in the air. And then I decided to go to a camp, and then I had a good time with that, so I decided to just kind of pull through and just stay, and been here few years ever since then.
Nice. I first heard about RF in 2011 when I was in the 8th grade. One of the percussion director at the high school, he was in charge of the organization at the time. So I had heard about it, and I had never played snare before, but I knew going into my first year I wanted to audition on snare. I had played bass my freshman year of high school, so I practiced a lot that fall, and in my first season of RF was my first year on snare. I auditioned at RF because I had just recently discovered the world of drum corps, and between my 8th grade and freshman year, I went to go see a DCI show live for the first time after watching videos of the Blue Devils online forever. I can specifically remember, like, there's a camera shot going down the side of the snare line, and just seeing the way that everyone's sticks moved in the same way, that really made me want to just audition or to be in drumline. And I saw, oh, okay, RF, like that's an outlet. One of the reasons I continued to come back year after year was the sense of like family and camaraderie that I had built with several members of the snare line who I'm still like very close with to this day. Another reason I kept coming back to was kind of a convenience factor. We rehearsed at my high school, which I lived about 1 minute away from in the car. So we were very local, and all the snares would stay at my house. And it started with just the snares, and then it grew into the quads staying there too. And then my mom would cook dinner for everybody, and it just became this big sense of community.
I kept coming back year after year just because of the membership that was there, just being able to play drums with the homies all the time.
Another thing that kept me coming back to RF year after year was just seeing the progression of the shows and the programs every year, seeing every year that how much the design and the membership would elevate. When I was young, I did not really think in the aspect of, oh, one day I'm gonna be doing this on staff. I was very young when I marched RF. I was from 14 to like 18 years old. So my goals at that point were to just be as good as possible, you know, to get as good at snare as I could, to march the best that I could, to be a part of cool production. So I wasn't really thinking too much about being on the whole staff side of things. That opportunity didn't present itself until later. I had marched for 10 years in a row of indoor and been kind of over it the last couple years. So that's when I kind of started to see myself going in the direction of like, okay, I want to be on the other side of the drums. And I'm based in Austin, and Rhythmic Force was starting to kind of pick up. So it to me felt like a no-brainer to return to RF.
For me, I always kind of knew in a way that I wanted to teach afterwards when I was done marching. Or at least like once I graduated high school, I went into music education just because it always felt kind of a right fit for me in a way. So even while I was marching, like in here, I always had that vision of like, yeah, I'd love to like, it'd be cool to teach here, but like, you know, I'd love to at least teach somewhere at like a high level, then get a lot of experience with that, and then kind of pursue that after I'm done marching, which I'm thankful for, because Jordan was the one that pretty much asked me if I wanted to teach, I think in 24. So then I like gladly took that opportunity and been here ever since then.
when it comes to planning a weekend. We usually have a pretty good picture of what we need to work on just based off of what is new material, what were we struggling with last week. So we kind of know those spots going in, but I mean, a few like tangible things I'll do. I make sure I watch the videos of the run-throughs from the previous week and see if there's any kind of, things that I'm forgetting about, changes we need to make, stuff like that. I make sure fill up my car with gas before driving here so that I'm good for just all the trips back and forth. And just get in touch with the staff and make sure we're all like on the same page. There's a plan every weekend. It's not always a super detailed, structured plan, but we do know, okay, we need to hit these 3 or 4 checkpoints or however many it be throughout the weekend.
I prepare for the weekends by I always make sure I set aside at least 1 hour. Usually it'll be like 30 minutes, I'm like good, but like I always make sure in my schedule I set like 1 hour where I'm just thinking only about the Rhythmic Force stuff, not distracted by like anything else. And I'm just thinking about like certain check exercises that might make sense to clean this part, or just like going through the book and then seeing like what feels right in this certain section versus like what might not. There's a lot of stuff like that, and then just kind of keeping in touch with all the other staff throughout the week, making sure that we kind of know what we want to do once we actually come here on Friday. We're not just, kind of, what's the word? Make sure we're organized and like have a plan, even if it's like the worst plan in the world. It's better to plan something than just, kind of come in and just expecting things to happen.
Yeah, I thought of another thing too. Another thing we do to prep for the weekends is we have homework assigned throughout the week. So one thing I'll do is just make sure I kind of go back and watch everyone's homework videos so I can see what's going on individually with their playing, and if there's any spots, they may need to work on or need individual attention on. That's something that we take care of before rehearsals. So we keep it pretty objective. It's a faster paced rehearsal, definitely on snare subs. If we're like on the floor, we're pretty much running back to the reset every time. It's pretty fast paced, but not so chaotic. It can be a little bit chaotic, but I feel like we usually just try and shoot them straight. Don't get caught up in the weeds, caught off in all these little details. Just pick the biggest issue. What is the biggest thing that we can fix right now? And then we attack that.
I think we try to make it as simple as we can for the member. The process that they have, like, just focus on this, maybe focus on that, and then once it's fixed, then just worry about the next thing. We try to keep it simple so that they're not overloaded thinking about this, and this, and this, just so that they're able to actually like take something and then digest it, make it better automatically. But on that, we're like pretty fair with them. Like we hold them to a really high standard always, a super high standard, because that's just what they need. And then keep the process simple, have a laugh every now and then when we need, keep the vibe chill, not loose, but chill, And I think members have a good time with that.
I agree, snares are the best.
Yep, snares are the best.
I think being a member did and also didn't prepare us for being on staff. One thing I think it did prepare us for is we've both been with the organization for 3-4+ years now. We know how things are run. We're very familiar with the expectations and things like that. But one thing I think that RF didn't help us out with, or not, it didn't help us, but one thing, we both have very different marching backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
Alex did cadets, I did like Monarch and Blue Knights stuff, which is kind of opposites in terms of style, but I feel like we do come into this very open-minded with wanting to take the strengths from both approaches, or I don't even know if I want to say that. We do come together and just agree upon certain ideas versus setting a super strict technique. I know there's kind of a meme that the technique is there is no technique, which is like there's kind of truth in that. And I'm not saying that we have no technique, but I think we do a pretty good job of like molding our backgrounds together into finding common ground on like what we agree on. So it never feels like we're at opposing ends of things, at least when we're standing in front of the snares. It never feels like they're getting conflicting information.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll say differently, but I feel like we do.
Maybe they say different.
I feel like we do a good job of that.
It's definitely had a positive impact, for sure. Definitely a positive impact. Like, love hanging out with the staff. Like after every rehearsal, that's always super fun to do. And just like get the teaching chops up some more. It's a really good experience for that. Get to put in a lot of hours for that, and then just have a good time.
Yeah, I agree. I think the social aspect is one of the things that I really enjoy about this. I really enjoy this group of people and getting to be around like-minded individuals and just coming here every weekend. I always look forward to showing up to RF, seeing the members, hanging out with the staff. One thing I feel like band is just really good for in life is just the process of doing something over and over and over and over and just trying to make it your best. Having a relentlessness to make something as good as you can possibly make it, even when that's not always what you want to do. Like I've always thought band is so analogous to life, you know, the way you don't always want to get up and go to work that day, or you know, but you have to overcome all these little obstacles and make the choice and just commit yourself to doing your best.
I'd say aspirations, like for the snares and just for the ensemble as a whole, is that if you decide to join the group, that you're allowed to get the most that you want from your experience here, so that you just, once you come in, you can just get what you need, whether that be like, man, I really aspire to play this way, or play with this group of people, or just with the group in general. Or if it's something like visual-wise too, just whatever like is their kind of cup of tea, just coming into the group, they're able to get the most out of their experience.
One of my aspirations for RF is for us to be consistently a finalist group in the top 15 in Dayton. It's not all about the competition, but I would really like to be a consistent finalist group. I feel like another aspiration I have is for members to want to return, like to have a good time, want to return. I want them to feel that family vibe like we have. I think RF, aside from the social stuff, I think it helps with like communication too. I think it helps me in my life try and have to conduct my thoughts more clearly and articulate that in like the right way, in ways that are simple but still meaningful. Yeah, communication I think is also a big part of this.
I'd say one of my favorite memories was just the whole of Dayton week, just like actually going to Dayton and then seeing Dayton Arena for the first time in person, and then experiencing like the hype lots that you get once, because everyone in Dayton's like circles around your lot. That was a really cool experience, because marching at 21, being the COVID year, we just did the video, so we didn't really travel. But actually traveling was like super fun experience.